The following video is sponsored by Cotner Funeral Home. Reynoldsburg, Ohio boasts a school district with an eye towards innovation. Since the first schools were built in Reynoldsburg around the 1800s, our schools have been at the epicenter of sculpting beneficial members of society by adapting to educational needs. Today, Reynoldsburg City schools are constantly being put into the spotlight as a school district promoting non-traditional paths for students to be successful in. A key member in this constant effort is Superintendent Melvin Brown. We went to the school board office to ask him how well he is fitting in at his new position, which he started earlier this year.
I started off as a high school English teacher way back in the day, a long time ago. Once I finished my teaching career in '99, I became an elementary principal that year. I was an elementary principal for 6 years at 2 different schools during that stint. Then I became a curriculum coordinator for a couple of months, and they shifted me into the role of assistant superintendent in Prince William County, Virginia. I was also a middle school principal at some point before I left Virginia, and then came to Ohio as regional vice president for a charter school management company, whereby I oversaw a region that encompassed the entire Northeast Ohio area, as well as parts of North Carolina. And then I was the HR director at Cuyahoga Falls City Schools for 2 years. I was their deputy superintendent for 2 years, and then that led to me coming to Reynoldsburg. We're getting to the point now, we've been here for 6 to 8 months. We're identifying some pieces of our curriculum and of our work process that we need to adjust and tweak, and to engage the community and our staff in order to make those changes work and go positively. It's been fun work. Like any job that you might have, naturally there are days when you're like, what am I doing? But then you get up the next morning, you're like, yeah, I know why I'm doing this. And despite some of the challenges that we face, to me, that's fun, exciting work to be able to address some of those things, and it does drive me.
And it's ultimately the innovation of Reynoldsburg schools that continue to inspire Mr. Brown as he helps the district in moving forward. He states impact on student aspirations as one of his biggest goals.
So while the process or the distance that the district has made in terms of innovation up to this point could potentially be intimidating, it's not, because I know the sky's the limit. There's no ceiling. We can continue to use this in a way to drive us. So what does that next innovation look like? How do we make sure we touch all kids? How can we use our academy structure to make sure every student sees himself as a part of one of those academies and can see his life after high school, whatever that might be?
It's this academy structure which makes Reynoldsburg a unique educator in the areas around Ohio and the Midwest in general. As such, we'll be exploring all 4 academies in the weeks to come. But here are some of Mr. Brown's favorite things about each one.
I'll start with eSTEM. I think eSTEM's innovation and the ability to take concepts that I can't understand as a former English major and make them come to fruition, that is just fascinating to watch. Being an English major, I love words. I love writing. I don't mind talking. But I could never wrap my head around the whole idea of saying, let's take an idea and let's make something. That excites me, to watch that. Not necessarily to do it, because that's not my forte, but to watch kids do that is amazing. If I look at Encore, I have an appreciation for the arts. I want to see our kids get engaged in love, not only loving the arts, but living their love. So if you're into music and you want to have an opportunity to make music at some point, I want us to be able to teach that in school. I want to be able to show an opportunity where kids can learn to mix and record and produce music in school, because that's what their love is. That might be what their career path is. Maybe they want to be a DJ on the side. Maybe that's a class we can offer. I want to see that continue to grow. But to watch kids perform and get out of the element and act and be someone that they really aren't, just because they're in a role, those things are always fascinating. HS squared, the medical field was something I was always interested in from afar. Never a science guy, that just wasn't my thing. But to watch medicine and the progress that medicine can make in our culture and in our world, and the impact it has on making a better tomorrow, those kids have that opportunity. They live it every day and have an opportunity to go to medical schools or be EMTs or be nurses or what have you, and continue to be part of that medical revolution. And if you look at Bell, now Bell's kind of special to me because that's where I would have been. The idea of business education, law, and leadership, I would have lived there. I love that concept. and to be able to be in an academy structure where you can be taking courses in business and in law at the same time and get a sense of how the two interact and then continue to build on things that you're interested in. I was supposed to go to law school. That's what I wanted to do when I went to college. And had we have been able to afford it, I probably would have gone. So that was always my quote unquote dream job. Now, I retract on that whole dream job thing because I think I kind of live some of that every day. But I'm always fascinated by law. I'm obviously fascinated by leadership and how that grows. And business, although early on I wasn't that interested in it as a kid, now that I'm an adult, I have a keen interest in business and how business drives the world. How do our kids engage in that enterprise so they can be part of the movers and shakers who make our world tomorrow? Those things about Bell really excite me.
The fire and passion in which Mr. Brown speaks about education is an obvious need in a district that contains students so eager to learn, and even more eager to practice what they've learned in meaningful ways. We'll be showing you examples of some of that passion as we visit all 4 academies. Stay tuned and don't forget to check back to ThisisReynoldsburg.org for weekly videos and content. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and check in for content uploaded weekly.